Hello. The state of Bitcoin Cash is not very strong. Thank you for joining me. The real politics is in the fight for peer-to-peer cash. And here we are today on the brink of a split. And will the people secede to the miners, or will the people, I don't know what I'm talking about, or will the people come through and carry the torch of freedom forward on into the future? Yes. And if you, I don't know. The State of the Union's tonight, so that's my theme. So the State of the Union is okay. All right, let's get into some other stuff first. CoinSpice has a new podcast with Eleanor Blanc. She is very awesome, very smart girl. She worked for BTC.com. I met her in Amsterdam. She helped run the Bitcoin Cash hackathon there that I filmed, which we can watch at the end, and that might be kind of fun to watch. But yeah, I filmed that in Amsterdam, really cool. And now she's got her own podcast on CoinSpice, and of course, CoinSpice's own Edward Kelso also has a CoinSpice podcast. Wow, there's just so much podcasts in CoinSpice. You could really just like stay on CoinSpice and just know all your crypto stuff just from CoinSpice, because we're the shit. So some other things that happened. BitPay no longer supports BIP70. And if you don't know what BIP70 is, well, it's basically like the easiest way to describe it is it generates an invoice for you to pay. And then, let me back up. Vin has a little bit better. Basically, you open up a channel of communication with a BIP70. And so it's a way to pay. It's a payment protocol. And so Vin says it's a payment protocol, a series of steps for a merchant and buyer to complete of a transaction. And if you didn't know, this was like a huge thing BTC core people didn't really like, because it's just like another step to, I don't know exactly like why they don't like it. It's just another step to kind of implement into wallets. Not all the wallets have them, but it's a better way to do payments with Bitcoin, right? And so what makes it different? Well, you can give a complex transaction template, like an invoice. And so you could like say, hey, this is for this is for a coffee. And it can do thousands of outputs, including op returns, so you can do SLP with it as well. With BIP21, you broadcast a transaction to the blockchain. Merchant has to watch the network. With BIP70, the buyer actually signs the transaction to the merchant. So basically, if I'm buying a coffee, I send my Bitcoin, but who actually like sends the actual transaction data is the merchant. So I give the signed transaction to the merchant, and the merchant sends it out. So it makes ZeroConf way more secure. Double spending isn't really like a thing with it. And but anyways, basically BitPay is getting rid of it, probably because they are kind of it seems like they're kind of desperate for money. I mean, they just put Ethereum, Ripple, and all these other things which have nothing like BIP70. So but the way they're spinning this is now you can accept BTC or BCH from any wallet or Bitcoin exchange, because not all wallets or exchanges supported BIP70 till now. Stay in character. The State of the Union is I don't know. I would not know how to stay in character for this. So let's back up here. So I know I haven't had a show for like a week. This plan dropped right before my show with Josh Green of Bitcoin Verde. I love Bitcoin Verde. I love Bitcoin Verde. We'll come back to those guys. But we talked about it a little bit. That was like the next day, so everybody's kind of taking it in, and there was debate going around, and just the whole discussion was happening, right? And so I was working last week. I wasn't ignoring everybody, but basically, it takes a lot. It's a lot to take in, because this is really splitting Bitcoin Cash community apart. And before I go any further, if you think people on one side or the other are like paid actors or trolls, like you're just wrong. I mean, sure, there might be, and they might be like encouraging poor discussion, like troll like behavior, but there are real people on both sides of this debate. And it's really, I think, the most controversial change ever introduced to Bitcoin Cash, especially. And I don't even think like maybe even Bitcoin, because I don't think the block size it was controversial objectively, but from a technical standpoint, you could say the economics changed, but this actually changes like minor economics And I think I said that in some Telegram chat, and then somebody was like, "You literally sound like CSW now about how the economics are changing in Bitcoin." But it literally is. The miners are like, the money's moving to a different spot. That's, I mean, I don't know what else you would call that besides changing the economics. But yeah, let's. So this is the very first version he put out. This is, you can only find this in the archive Wayback Machine, and he deleted this first half probably because it wasn't very optical towards the English speaking community. And he basically, so he says this is his view. The corporate donors have an undue influence. He talks about Blockstream, and then only a few companies taking commitment to bear the costs. So then this free rider problem comes up a lot, like free riders, people that don't donate, they just are in the ecosystem and are free riding. And I think this is very kind of a poor way to look at it, because I mean, this is money we're talking about. This is peer-to-peer money. People shouldn't have to donate if they don't want to. I mean, it's money. Everybody should be able to use it. And if you call somebody a free rider because they aren't doing what you want them to do, well, that they're not going to want to be in your coin anymore, right? Pitico T, now mint watching the stream. Oh, nice. What's up, Pitico guys? I should have text to speech down, but I don't. But anyways, so they call it Tragedy of the Commons, and like, well, I'm not gonna donate because that guy's gonna donate, right? And then it's like, well, yeah, I guess that could be a problem, but like, how do we coordinate to make that not a problem? And I don't think saying, I mean, 10 people donating, 100 people donating $10 each is what, $1,000, and that's a lot of people participating. It's just, and are they still free riders because they don't have that much money? I don't know. The free rider argument is just, it's just so antithetical to what Bitcoin should be as a peer-to-peer money for everyone to use. And so, anyways, we'll go on. You'll kind of see my thoughts on this whole thing as we go through. And so I think this is really the reason he deleted this whole section. It hears other miners as a cartel. They're coordinating to move their own money. Yes, they are, but yeah, we'll get into it. I want to cover this all. This might be a longer episode that by myself than we're used to, but this is the most controversial thing in Bitcoin Cash since ever. I don't think, I mean, I think the BSV split was obviously controversial, but I think that was almost manufactured in a way. Like, it was very, I didn't see people I respected going on the BSV side. We'll just say, I mean, very, very few, but this is, I have friends on both sides of the aisle now, and I don't know. Anyways, this is why he deleted it, I think. So the chief architect of the Chinese reform and opening up policy, Deng Xiaoping, has three famous insights: cat philosophy, river philosophy, and non-debate theory. And if you didn't know, Deng Xiaoping is like the communist leader of China. So, but anyways, cat philosophy: no matter white cat or black cat, a cat that catches rats is a good cat. So I like how that translates, right? It's very, it's very, and that's basically the ends justify the means. River philosophy: to cross the river by touching stones, and this means, well, to actually do something, you have to feel it out. And non-debate theory, and this was obviously the most controversial one. Non-debate theory is my invention. Non-debate is to gain time to work hard. When you debate, everything becomes more complicated and it wastes time. Nothing can be done. Don't debate, just try. Be brave and experiment. And this whole plan was just dropped on everybody like this, and it looked like this was like a concrete plan to go ahead with, and the miners were going to do, and then they dropped that in there, and they're just like, wait a minute, that's not cool. Why you not want to talk about it, right? No, the risk isn't of a fork. It's that half the people leave. I think a fork is very likely. I'm just going to say that. Therefore, various major Bitcoin Cash mining pools, BTC Top, Antpool, BTC.com, via BTC and Bitcoin.com, are preparing to implement a 6-month short-term donation plan. And it aims to provide sufficient funds for BCH developers to accelerate BCH development before the upcoming bull market in 2020/21, 22. And see, he thinks the bull market's coming. Like, it's coming, guys, so we got to prepare. So that's kind of strange. Anyways, and he wishes that Bitcoin Cash would be better price-wise. And so, yeah, that was so he cut that part out. So this is the actual updated live version. He just goes right into the funding plan. So he says, we as a group of miners represent a majority of identified Bitcoin Cash hash rate. So, I mean, in the first sentence, when you think of identified Bitcoin Cash hash rate, Bitcoin Cash is a minority chain. And so there's a whole nother like set of dynamics in game theory that goes into this because we are a minority chain. I believe the people that signed this had about 30% of the hashing power in their pools, not miners that actually control, which is a big distinction. And so a majority of identified Bitcoin Cash hash rate, they have an interest in ensuring Bitcoin Cash remains a strong and vibrant current cryptocurrency. So they say infrastructure is important, and so they want to direct 12.5% of Bitcoin Cash Coinbase rewards to funds that will support Bitcoin Cash infrastructure. And it's only going to last for 6 months. And so basically what this math comes out to is about $6 million at Bitcoin Cash at $300. So it'll probably be like $7 million right now. And then he goes into the talking point used a lot is BTC miners are going to pay for Bitcoin Cash development. And first of all, I mean, there's not really BTC miners. There's SHA-256 miners, right? So, I mean, everybody's getting knocked down profit from this tax. God. I'm going to go into the word tax in a little bit. That's the biggest controversy of all of this. Hard to believe people divide another fork. So sick of forks. Oh, yeah. And so I'm going to go into this a little bit, but basically since the profitability on Bitcoin Cash is going to go down, more miners will go back into BTC, which is going to raise the difficulty there. And so BTC miners are going to pay for it. But in reality, it's just SHA-256. I don't think this is a good argument. I'm going to look at a different article later that kind of breaks this down a little bit further. And so they say 6 months. How the funds will be dispersed. This has changed since then, but this was one big point of controversy. A Hong Kong corporation has been set up to legally accept and disperse funds. The funds will be used to pay for development contributions to full node implementations as well as other critical infrastructure. And then on orphaning. So this is the point of contention. This is like everything. This is it, right? This here to ensure participation and include subsidization from the whole pool of SHA-256 miners will orphan BCH blocks that do not follow the plan. This is needed to avoid a tragedy of the commons. And so it's a consensus rule, because if you aren't in consensus, you are orphaned and you're no longer on Bitcoin Cash. And so anybody that says it's not a consensus rule is just lying to you. I think I saw somebody ask Omri the question if he was actually going to code this into ABC, and I don't think he actually responded to that. And I think the actual code cutoff date is in like a couple weeks. So I also saw somewhere that if he doesn't code it into ABC, then there's actually a higher risk of something funky going on, right? And so yeah. And so that's it. 6 months. And so, I mean, you step back from this and you see that in the last year or so, one group, Bitcoin ABC, has Omri specifically, has been complaining about a lack of funds for developers and that he needs more money to properly maintain Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin ABC is the main node implementation. It's the node everybody, basically all the miners use to mine with. And we'll go into the single node thing in a little bit later too. I got a lot of tabs open. Let me show you real quick. Yeah, we're just getting started. We are just getting freaking started. And so, man. So this developer fund is for Bitcoin ABC. While not all of the funds, I'm sure the majority of it will go to Bitcoin ABC. And so when you look at this, it's for Bitcoin ABC. And so this says supported right here. Jihan, wow. Jihang Zuhar, Jihan Wu, Hypo Yang, and Roger Ver. And so Roger and I would assume these other three, they were sent this as a proposal, but they didn't realize that like they were actually going to publish with their names on it. So that might have been a miscommunication or something like this. But so Roger like didn't actually know that this was going to get updated. And so so Bitcoin.com came out with saying Oh wow, this new developer funding proposal got off to an interesting start, to say the least. And he says we need more agreement. As it stands now, Bitcoin.com will not go through with supporting any plan unless there's more agreement in the ecosystem, such that the risk of a chain split is negligible. We think it is clear that the existing proposal does not have enough support, and we will be working to come up with a plan that is profitable for all the relevant parties and which preserves the fundamental economics of Bitcoin Cash. And so Bitcoin.com came back on it, and so now it's done with 3. All Chinese companies, and not that it matters, the Chinese communists, they're taking over Bitcoin. And so I tried to find an archived thing of this, which it doesn't have anything X'd out. But this wasn't X'd out until Bitcoin.com came in and said they're going to come back. But this was from a response from an opposing mining group. And I don't think this was ever verified that it was like an actual mining group or if they were just like talking much shit. But they basically said we are going to start a new mining pool and we're going to mine Bitcoin Cash without the subsidy, without the tax. Okay, I mean, I feel like I'm just triggering people every time I say tax. Is it Jiang or Jiang? I don't know. And so they came back on this and saying, it's fine. We're gonna, if Bitcoin.com is stepping out, we think that it's not gonna be a split, and so it's not a tax. It is absolutely a tax. It is a compulsory charge. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're gonna get to that new update in a little bit, and so this is Omri Sachet's article on Re.Cash. The first thing I don't like is he uses orange again, but we gotta go green. Come on, we gotta go green Bitcoin Cash. If we don't go green Bitcoin Cash, we will never have consensus. That's all. Jesus Christ. Okay. So Omri is in full support of this, and he says it's sound game theory and that this has been in the works for a long time. I've heard this from other people as well, that Jihan specifically has wanted basically a developer fund through the miners for a while now, and this is finally coming to a heat here. And so he basically says that since the miners came up with this and ABC didn't, I responded every time that such an initiative needed to come from the miners, as there's an obvious conflict of interest if the devs decide to take away money from the miners and pay themselves with it. So this came from the miners, and so he can support it. And basically it's saying there's more specialization now in Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin than there ever has been before, because in the early days the developers were the hodlers, they were the companies. Everybody is specializing. You have businesses, you have hodlers, you have developers, and somehow we need to move money to people to work. And if it's a tax, what's the coercion? Offering your blocks. And so let's talk about the word tax. And so I don't necessarily agree with the word that it's a tax, like by the absolute definition of tax, because I mean, a tax is if you pay it or you go to jail, like, by the threat of violence, right? That's tax. But literally everybody has used the word tax. Like everybody, every news, everybody except for the people that support this use the word tax. And from the larger ecosystem of crypto, that's a lot of people. And the people that support it are very niche within Bitcoin Cash. And I'm not saying that there's an overwhelming majority inside Bitcoin Cash that support it or not support it. I think it's damn near 50-50. But everybody calls it a fucking tax. So I'm going to call it a tax because it's easy. A compulsory fee, a developer donation, it all works, right? So, sorry, tax. And I know tax is very triggering for libertarians. And I know there's a lot of libertarians in Bitcoin Cash. And the word tax is like, taxation is theft, taxation is theft. And I'm sorry, like it's like Bcash. You can't fight the Bcash. You just gotta embrace it, right? The word Bcash is stuck around, and it's a word none of Moby Bitcoin Cash liked, and now you're trying to fight the word tax. Anyways, the point is that every article that supports this has a section about how it's not a tax. So if you gotta explain that it's not a tax, then well, in every article, sorry, you kind of already lost the battle. So it's not a donation either. Union dues is a close analogy. Union dues. That's a good one. And again, tax is just easy to say. If I say BCH tax, people know what I'm talking about. BCH fund, that could go a couple different ways. BCH union. I don't know. Okay, so again, I'm not like super green. It's a by definition tax, but it's a common word. Like, I'm a Bcasher. I'm a Bcasher. Like, what you gonna do about it? This is tax. What you gonna do about it? Sorry. Okay, and so he says once the cartel is in place, they won't be able to impose its will on the chain. And he says basically cartel is kept together by competition, and if it becomes profitable for the cartel to break apart, then they're going to do that. And so cartels tend to be fairly unstable. And Bitcoin ABC has actually rejected from OKX. And beware the money you take. When accepting money, you always give up power. And so who control the funds? And so this is the part that really got to me. Like, I love all the. I mean, I don't love's a very strong word. I like all these people. I respect all these people. We'll definitely go with. I respect is definitely him. And so this when the Hong Kong Corporation was still in effect, and he says, I propose that this is quote, of course. I propose that the control of the key needs to be in the hands of people who have proven they work in the best interests of Bitcoin Cash, even during the rough times, have a commitment to infrastructure and a proven track record, such as John Football, Manjurian, and myself. This would effectively give two people in this group a veto power over spending, and obviously miners would also have veto power as they can decide to discontinue the plan. And again, like I respect all these people, all three of these people, but just the audacity. Not a tax. It's not a tax. Confiscatory redistribution. All words matter. And so I don't know, just the audacity to suggest that first of all, Manjurian is also in Bitcoin ABC. I don't know, it makes this whole thing look like a power play. And again, I respect y'all, but we really want to centralize Bitcoin Cash as much. I thought one of the core tenets of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency was decentralization, and this ain't it. This ain't it, boys. This ain't it. Oh, don't worry, though. There's also going to be a group of trusted community members such as Vin Armani, Josh L. Thorpe, Chris Passier, Mike Malley, who can advise on a way to spend the funds. So, advisory roles, so you guys don't get to do anything, actually. So, and so, John will... again, I really respect John. What he does in Electron Cash is awesome. I love Electron Cash. Watch my tutorial videos. But he basically comes and says that he takes responsibility for pushing and encouraging this miner donation plan. It just sounds pretentious when you don't call it a tax. Anyways, what do they call it? Infrastructure funding plan. I'll call it a plan. Okay, I'll call it a plan from now on. That's the way I can respect definitions. I take responsibility for pushing and encouraging this. Is because of that, I don't take it lightly with you, my cherished colleagues, have any issues with being proposed. Let's dig in. And so, yeah, we could implement roadmap. Again, all of this, I'm not saying developers don't need to get paid. I'm not saying developers don't need to get paid, but the orphaning is just, that's the controversy. Tax? Again, tax? Is it a tax? Is it a tax? Okay, and so, where is the part that really got to me? I'm just going to Google it real quick. So, here it is. In addition, it is no longer 2017. It is 2020, and we have to acknowledge this is a new time in a different context. We are no longer trying to be Bitcoin or the real Bitcoin. We are Bitcoin Cash. I disagree with that. If the price flips, we're still Bitcoin. Does that narrative work still to normal people? Probably not, but I think it's either that or we aren't peer-to-peer cash. I mean, if Bitcoin Cash is money for the world, we're going to call it Bitcoin. So anyways, well, for starters, we are a 3 to 4% change, and there's 5,000 coins out there. As Jiang Zero said, we are too small. We need to get bigger before we worry about things like decentralization and purity of protocol. Another example of practical thinking. And you get married? I did get married. It was like a month and a half ago now. Reputation proceeds. They asked me to, but I was not even asked before they put my name on the article. Oh, nice profile pic, Josh. Yeah, yeah. That's a lot of. It seems to happen a lot. People just put names on things to legitimize them. But again, We need to get bigger before we worry about things like decentralization and purity protocol. Again, this is just another thing I just can't get behind. If you loosen your ideals because you think we need to have a speed boost, you're never gonna regain those ideals back. I'm sorry. So let's Bitcoin Verde. Woo! I love Bitcoin Verde. Woo! Yeah! Woo! Well, congrats. Thank you. Okay, so before we go to Bitcoin Verde, let's go a thing about the BTC miners paying for all of this. So I'm basically just gonna read this verbatim because I agree with most of it. Have 97% of the world's miners pay for your development costs. Well, when something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. The reason for this is that the negative impact is hidden. Either it's not so obvious to common miner, or you knowingly sacrifice the future. And then, why haven't other coins done this? Why haven't other coins tried to leech the SHA hash rate, right? It's nothing new. People just forgot because there aren't 8-year-old OG miners bothered to tell the tale. And one, you're offering to pay less. The name of the game is to offer the best rewards for best security. And BTC sacrifice the lat. The reward is a function of short-term block subsidy and long-term transaction fee growth. BTC sacrificed the latter, long-term transaction fee growth. Now we're offering to sacrifice the former, latter former. Wait, BTC sacrificed the short-term block subsidy. Before we have the transaction volume to back up our claims, we need to freely give up our bread and butter. You're losing altruistic miners. So BCH has the best altruistic miners, but for two reasons. They know to maximize profits, stay in the game, and being only altruistic when it matters. Secondly, because we have the most experience, we've been forked twice, and it's been the same group of miners that stood up and delivered. And these are the people that signed it. Basically the same people that signed this proposal. So thanks, guys, but I don't think this is the way to go. Profit maximizing miners are a dime a dozen. Altruistic miners are those that have your back when shit hits the fan. Why would you really create a whiff and discontent with the ranks of your most loyal troops? And so this is kind of goes back to BSV, I think was the best example of it, where just a bunch of hash flooded BCH. And we won the hash war. It's great. We won the hash war. And you're creating extra volatility. And yeah, the difficulty adjustment algorithm has been absolutely fucked lately. I don't know if you've been paying attention or if you actually care about block times, but there's been a period of like a 5-hour no block. And what has been happening is, let me see if I can find this really quickly. Show up, kind of. And so this is the Bitcoin Cash hash rate changes for the last 2 weeks. This was in the BCH gang channel. Zawy, Z-A-W-Y, has been doing a lot of research into this. We all told him to write an article because it's great. But yeah, this is basically the hash rate for the average of every 20 blocks. And so, as you can tell, it goes up and down a shit ton. And if you're looking at this, that's a lot. And so, if you don't know what the DAA gaming is, basically, a bunch of miners mine Bitcoin Cash really fast, or a lot with a lot of hash rate. Difficulty goes way up. They all stop mining it. Blocks take forever. Difficulty drops back down. They start mining again really, really fast. Switch a bunch of hash rate from BTC over to BCH. And a block comes every like minute, 2 minutes. And it makes block times unpredictable. And this is a problem because it's especially a problem Bitcoin Cash because, I mean, Bitcoin too, but they don't have this problem because they have a lot of hash rate. But there's a 25 transaction unconfirmed chain limit. So on things like Satoshi Dice or Memo.cash, if you're doing a lot of transactions, you can only use coins 25 times unconfirmed before you can't use them anymore. And so this has been a known problem for a while, but if no blocks come for 5 hours, you can only do 25 transactions in those 5 hours. And so this is obviously a problem for that. It's a problem if people need confirmations just in general. Cash Fusion, Cash Shuffle, for example, needs an actual confirmation. If you're trying to use exchanges, they need confirmations. And yeah, who needs miners? Just have the devs sign the blocks. That's genius. That is genius. You're losing consistency. 12.5 now, less later, 6 months is real, fake. Good miners care. And back to the DAA thing. Jihang that proposed this proposal, his pool, BTC Top, is one of the people miners who game this, and so okay, so this is so much freaking stuff going on with this video. Yeah, freaking. Whew, everybody take a breath. Whew, get me heated. Okay, we'll get back into it. And so Jihang 3 days ago wrote a response article to all this, and he says, firstly, there's a culture misunderstanding. No debate does not mean I refuse to discuss with you or I do not accept your opinion, but rather let us stop debating and give it a try. If the test turns out positive, we continue. Otherwise, we stop. Again, why sacrifice? It's $6 million. You tell me people in Bitcoin Cash don't have $6 million, especially the miners. If you're going to mine at a loss, just freaking donate it. Anyways, he basically says the Hong Kong Corporation is no longer going to be a thing, and that instead they're going to donate right to a list of addresses. And so then it becomes a problem of, well, who decides who's on the list? Who decides when somebody gets off the list? And then this is a whole nother governance problem, right? And so I'd say this part is better than the Hong Kong Corporation for sure. But again, I think the biggest point of contention is the orphaning. It's the consensus rule. And this is, I read this over and over and over again. So it looks like they're creating a foundation. Before the donation plan kicks off, the BCH Miner Fund will be established to accept donations from miners as well as from other non-miner individuals and corporations. The foundation will run for a pilot period to show its effect. And so they're essentially doing another fundraiser to see if we can raise $6 million, apparently. So, therefore, a sound competition mechanism has been established. All the projects must work hard, ensure the public disclosure and transparency of the visual. And so another weird thing he introduces that if you don't like any of these addresses on the list, well, you can just donate to a black hole address. And so you can just burn the coins and then give deflation to Bitcoin Cash hodlers. So, Wormhole wasn't controversial enough when you had to spend a Bitcoin Cash to make a token. Now we got to just say, well, you either donate to those guys or you have to throw your money away. You decide. And so this is where it just got weird, man. So how do we decide where to do the donation approach? Well, hash rate voting. And can I remind everybody that Bitcoin Cash is a minority hash rate chain, like 3, 4, 5%. So if you're telling me only 4%, it's a joke, man. Hash rate voting is a joke, especially on Bitcoin Cash, because some big BTC miners could just fuck with it. Like, they could literally just fuck with it. Like, they don't give a shit. Like, oh, I'm gonna sign the block, and oh, this is gonna be what happens because I voted with my hash power. It's this plan is just, it comes up in BCH gang all the time, and it's just, it don't make any sense, man. Bitcoin Cash is a minority hash rate chain. Hash power voting has never worked. Remember when like 98 or 95% of the hash rate voted to increase the block size in like 2016 or 15? Guess what? That didn't happen. And now we're gonna vote on who gets money from a tax. Ooh, I said the word. And then so this is man, this update is just messed up. Coins at a fortune were left with the active dead team end up being true irrelevant shit coins. Yeah, the thing is though, there's devs that don't agree with this. So if it does fork into a tax and no tax chain, you're gonna have devs on both chains. And so he says, therefore, at present, there are a lot of anonymous BCH miners whose hash power sometimes account for half the total network. However, most of these anonymous miners actually come from pooling. They mine BCH only when its profit is high. Therefore, as long as we mine at a loss and control the BCH mining profits slightly lower than BTC, those anonymous miners who thinks of nothing but making money will not mine BCH. So he's going to mine at a loss to protect Bitcoin Cash, to push this orphaning in, to fund developers. Why don't you just take this loss and donate it to developers? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. You're splitting a community for something that makes no sense. Yes, the thought and the thought process for the conclusion. The ends justify the means. The ends are great. We need to fund infrastructure development. These means are not. I'm in Bitcoin for peer-to-peer electronic cash. I'm not here for Chinese electronic cash. If bottom line, if this plan goes through, everybody's fear about Bitcoin Cash being centralized it will come true. And it's a hard pill to swallow, but it's true. And if we all of a sudden don't care about decentralization because some developers need some more money because they think Bitcoin Cash is going to fall apart, well, why are you in Bitcoin, I guess? Like, stick to your ideals. It's peer-to-peer money for the world. So, I don't know. It hurts, man. It hurts. So he did say by this, he said that 12.5% ratio is too high, considering the incoming bull market. Again, can he predict the prices? With the Bitcoin Cash price will rise sharply. Therefore, he believes 2 to 3% of the donation ratio is sufficient. Either way, it's a change to the UTXOs, and I think so. That was his update 3 days ago. So he's still going along with it. And so there's a shit ton of articles debating both sides of this. And so if you go to read.cash, you can just you can read articles for 2 days straight. I'm not kidding. And so this is Peter Risen. And yes, ABC and BU don't like each other, especially recently. BU was given a huge donation before the Bitcoin Cash fork to basically push big blocks, and it was in BTC, and they're still holding it in BTC. So people think there's misaligned incentives. And while I agree, I'm a Bitcoin Verde maximalist. And so I remember when we were white paper devotees before the Satoshi vision, people came and fucked it. By convention, the first transaction as a block is a special transaction that starts a new coin owned by the creator of the block. So, I don't know. It's just completely changing the economics of this. Literally, it changes where money flows. So, is it Bitcoin or is it a shitty Dash? Is it a shitty Dash? So, oh man, there's so much other shit. Okay, so Bitcoin Verde is awesome. Did I say that enough yet? So their funding model is they are going to. So what's the solution to all this? Why is that green? I don't understand, Josh. Your name is Josh M. Green. Bitcoin Verde is green in Spanish. Verde. Well, they should be green. They are doing a fundraiser for specific parts of their node implementation. So they're working on getting Bitcoin Verde to a mining node because really ABC is the only one you can really use right now. I think he talks about it in here. Let me see. Sorry for the scrolling. No, it was this one. So Bitcoin ABC is the only mining implementation, and ABC makes great work. Nobody denies this. And basically, you want to just run one implementation because the chance of you making a block with this node implementation, getting orphaned because you have a different slight consensus rule than some other mining node, goes way the hell down when you only have one node implementation. Oh snap! In Portuguese too, Dublin, Ohio, capital Ireland. And so you can orphan when you have different mining node implementations. So that's why everybody's using ABC. Maybe BU has a little more problems with the mining part. But what Bitcoin Verde is actually doing is they are going to do a block template validation system. And basically you'll be able to, I think when you find a block, this open source service will alert miners when the template they are attempting to mine is incompatible with other implementations and can be ran themselves or by a third party. So you can run other mining nodes and basically check to see if it's legit or not, or will be orphaned by everybody. And so, cool. You can avoid splitting the network. And so yeah. So like I said, they're doing it on a feature by feature basis. And I think Bitcoin Verde, They're asking for funding on a feature-by-feature basis. That means if your miner want to improve block template, you can ask for it and donate towards that specific objective. So there you go. Like for any profit business, we value money. Features will be ranked by the funding amount donated. Each funded feature will be prioritized over our own personal roadmap. Higher funding equals higher relative importance. So we're trying something new that doesn't change Bitcoin economics. And so, oh, good show. And Vitalik talks about it. He's on the side of taking public good challenges seriously and being open to adjusting ideological preconceptions with maintaining a commitment to core values of decentralization in order to meet them. But we said that we already saw that they don't really care about decentralization anymore. So, what else we got in here? And so this is probably the best counter is measure username. He's a smart guy. He's a QR code. So not much of a security. And this is this going on for so long. So the problem, we need well-tested software that's kept up to date, new features. And how do we pay? Do we pay for it all? Or just do volunteers? Why pay for one guy or the other? It seems most of the discussions focus on Bitcoin ABC with Electron Cash sometimes thrown in for the sake of diversity. Let's be honest with ourselves. This initiative is for Bitcoin ABC. Wait, what? And so, yeah, he basically goes into different ways to fund direct capital investment, blockstream, sponsorship. Basically, Bitcoin ABC receives contributions from multiple businesses such as Bitcoin.com and other businesses. I mean, Bitcoin Cash is still small, so it's hard to get this going. Miner payments voluntarily. Bitcoin.com actually does donate a small piece of their Coinbase to ABC. And miner payments mandatory. This is what we were proposed. Holder contributions, fundraiser. And I don't know, he's got a lot of stuff going through. And BCHD also commented on it. This is all telling you. So what do we do instead? Well, this is what I think has the best shot so far. And basically it's called Flipstarter. FLIP starter. Wow, good name. Great name. Very catchy. And so basically you can raise funds non-custodially. And like Kickstarter, if it doesn't get funded all the way, it doesn't go through. And so you basically will commit some of your Bitcoin, but it's still like using fancy Bitcoin scripts. Wow, it's like Ethereum. Wow, holy shit. Bitcoin Cash can do that? There's a pun there somewhere. And so, yeah, this is what it is. And here's a better perspective. Raise funds cooperatively. When you send funds directly to a project that ends up being underfunded, you risk losing both your funds and the promise of a better future. By committing funds instead, you can confidently act on that the funds will only go to fully funded projects. And so again, like doing this non-custodially is huge. I mean, one, it's with Bitcoin, so it's better than Kickstarter, but two, it's with Bitcoin, so it's better than Kickstarter. But it's not custodially, which has never been done before. I think Lighthouse was Mike Hearn's project that they're kind of building off of onto this. So basically this shows that people are committed, right? It's like, oh, this guy's committed to this, I'm going to help. And you actually see this progress bar go up. And, yeah, again, there's the one great thing. All right, so we're going to go back. So, BCH start, bitch starter. Wow, the State of the Union is strong. It's strong. And so what did we learn from this? Well, we're probably going to have a fork in May. I don't want it to be a fork. Although my fork live stream will be lit. So tune in for that. Oh god, I don't know what's gonna happen. I really don't know. The one great thing about all this shit going down is that it has kickstarted. Oh, god damn it! It has started a lot of discussion on developer funding again because a lot of people are unhappy with this plan. So they want to get a different proposal out there as soon as possible. And so I see a lot of people working on different proposals to get this going. I just hope that this can pan out and we don't lose half the community, because I think the biggest thing that Bitcoin Cash has in advantage in relation to other coins is the community. It's such a diverse community, and I know as people who do want to change the world and not just have number go up, but it worries me when people say they're not worried about decentralization anymore. And I've seen that in a couple spots now in support of this fee tax thing. And so I don't know. I hope we can. I hope we can come together and figure something out. So just make an incentive for developers to improve price. If price goes up, they get paid more. If it goes down, they get paid less. Yeah. I mean, that's why you just hold Bitcoin Cash. But people can keep in proposals. Miners are free to implement what they feel is right in their interest. Yes, I agree, but they can, but they're going to risk a fork if they do this. So I wish they would have had the balls to do this with the block size earlier. So maybe they're reeling from the fact that they could have done this earlier with the block size. And hey, let's do this for this. Hey, thank you, Pear. On the priz. I don't think we'll split. I don't want it to, but we'll see. Yeah, I know. I just seen very, very strong comments from people opposed to it. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to say the least. So it'll be interesting to say the least. Okay, so I'm gonna stop my show, but nothing says you appreciate the blockchain value quite like just give us money for free and we promise to do development with it. There's more than one moral hazard in that idea. Yeah, I mean to be fair, ABC does have a fairly proven track record. They've delivered on what they have before, but again, have we been pretending that we're decentralized all along? Oh my gosh, what is he saying? He's so controversial. Somebody clip that and make fun of him. Are we just putting up with this facade of decentralization in order to please our investors? Are we really for peer-to-peer cash, or do we just want to get rich? Why not both, right? Why not both? But if you don't have your morals at the end of the day, at least you have a Lamborghini, I guess. So only the North American and European pools will suffer as the mining cost is higher in China. Anyways, I'm going to end the show here. Thank you all for joining me on this fairly long episode tonight, but that's okay because the State of the Union is I don't know. I need a speechwriter. All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Paul Ryan. Thank you, Paul Ryan. Thank you. Thank you, Mike Pence. Thank you. Stay safe out there, and long live Bitcoin Cash.